Hello everybody and welcome back. Good to talk to all of you again today, and today's video is going to cover the USN light cruiser of the future at tier 7, currently named the Helena, but possible that they will change the name once they hit release. They do at times do this, but this is a Brooklyn class light cruiser. Now do keep in mind that this ship is a work in progress, so everything that I talk about can and potentially will change by the time the ship hits the live servers. So, what do I think about the Helena so far? I would say she is situational. If I had to pick sort of keywords for her, she's situational. At times she is really good and really fun to play, and at times she's very, very frustrating. So, let me first cover the ship from the port view before I show you some battle footage. And there's a couple of interesting things really to talk about. Fully upgraded, she's got 33,300 HP. She's a light cruiser, she's got no heal. So you take 2 battleship citadels, pretty much out of there. Armor is where things are interesting. This is where Helena sort of suggests at times that she can tempt fate a little bit. Because take a look, and you'll notice that her citadel is like this. The central sort of section here, where the engine rooms and everything would be, this one is right at the waterline. Doesn't go up above the waterline, it's pretty much right at the waterline. But the magazine citadels are pretty much underwater by quite a bit. So the rest of the ship, if you take a look at it, is then covered with 16mm plating. Now this is actually interesting because this allows you at times to go full broadside, and if the enemy ship shooting at you doesn't hit perfectly, right under sort of the waterline area in the center section, and they hit these other sections that are 16mm thick, they actually end up over penetrating. Now, of course, they can also hit obviously the barbette armor, so that can cause some penetrations, but as you can tell, there's a lot of gaps here. And so this at times allows you to get close, and not only get close, but to kind of go broadside when you're close and kind of get away with it. But, and this is very important, unlike those low tier French cruisers where you're permanently playing them broadside, Helena can of course be citadeled if they hit you in the middle section, so you're still going to require islands as your primary means of survival. It's just that sometimes with this particular ship, you get caught in a bad position. Sometimes it's not lethal. Sometimes you end up just taking a few overpens and you can get out of there. So it's just kind of one of those interesting quirks about the armor. Now, talking about the main guns, and Helena has beautiful number of guns, 15 in total, basically what the Mogami gets, but now you got sort of like a tier lower. Reload time is really good, 8.5 seconds. Turret traverse is pretty good, 180-degree turn time in 22.5 seconds. You have a lot of firepower, right? Your HE shells, 2200 damage, not exactly amazing there, but not terrible, right? 11% chance of fires, not great, but then you've got 15 shells, so, it's okay. You got AP that can do pretty good damage if you get broadside targets up close, although at distance, don't expect them to do much in terms of penetration. They don't really have a lot of pen down range. However, there's a few things I do want you to pay attention to. Pay attention to the fact that the shell velocity, especially for HE, the initial shell velocity is 812 meters per second. This makes it sometimes quite hard to use islands as the sort of cover that you fire from behind, because 812 meters means that your initial shells are actually kind of flat. It's only sort of later on do they go into that sort of ballistic trajectory that the US light cruisers are kind of famous for. And that makes it a little bit hard to position yourself because you can't really be right up against an island. You kind of got to be a little bit further away. Then you can sort of lob those shells over. However, if you get close range with a DD, the higher velocity does also kind of help because your shells will get there faster and you will be able to at least hit them if they're close. But sort of the key word is being close. And that's why earlier when I said the stock range maybe isn't as big of a deal, it's because with the US light cruisers, and especially ships like the Helena, there's this constant feeling on you as a player that you actually have to find some sort of island that's sort of closer up to the enemy forces, so you can actually get there and can start making use of these guns of yours. And that playstyle requires maps that are friendly, shall we say, for that kind of playstyle. Because you have maps that don't have a lot of islands, or just don't have a lot of islands placed in those nice spots. And in those kinds of maps, Helena really kind of struggles. You do need a map where you have a lot of islands that you can use. And that's not every map, right? Helena also doesn't have access to, let's say, a smoke. So the Royal Navy cruisers, they can sort of create some of their own cover and to help themselves get into position. Helena, you're, sort of island, or you're really hoping a destroyer lays a smoke for you so you can push up to a closer island. She is just incredibly situational, and that could mean at times you have these really fun battles, and at times you just absolutely are gonna just hate the ship. It's just gonna be like that. And for me, I think that's honestly a bit of a turnoff for a ship, because I would like to play ships where every single battle there is something I can do. And with the US light cruisers, it's always just some battles fantastic, making these really great plays, high average damage, and then the very next one that's like twiddling my thumbs and going, wow, there's not much cover, so too risky to pretty much go anywhere. And then she just really struggles in those kinds of scenarios. And not having smoke, by the way, is also kind of rough on the ship, because like I said, she needs sort of that closer distances in order to excel, but she can't create that cover for herself, right? The UK light cruisers, yes, they're fragile, yes, they've got that more vulnerable citadel, but you can at least pop a smoke for yourself and kind of move yourself into better positions. The Helena, you're very dependent on your own sort of team's destroyers helping you out. It's one of the reasons why I think I might have mentioned this in another video where I said, even if they don't want to give the USN light cruiser smoke, which I think they're not gonna, because they really don't like that smoke plus HE combination, maybe at least give them some sort of quirk. Maybe copy the Royal Navy sort of enhanced acceleration quirk, where they can speed up, slow down very quickly, and keep accelerating during turns, things like that. Maybe that could really help the ship out, because you can sort of at least jump from cover to cover and throw people's shots off by baiting them using that speed. That in that case, it'll sort of really depend a lot on the player's skill to make best use of it, but at least you've kind of got a tool. Right now, Helena really doesn't have much going there in that department, so too dependent on islands and certain maps, because there's some maps that are just not going to work for the ship. Okay, moving on. A defense, fully upgraded. You've got decent AA. I mean, you pop defensive fire, planes are still going to go down, so let's just leave it at that. It is a US light cruiser after all, so A armament is not going to be garbage, right? It's just the USN thing. Maneuverability, top speed, 32.5 knots, not exactly all that great. Turning circle radius, 680 meters, that's pretty okay. Rudder shift time, 9.1 seconds. Again, I'm not running the rudder shift mod, I'm running acceleration, because like I said, you kind of need to poke out from island, go behind island, so that ability to sort of accelerate and decelerate, kind of important. Detectability range, 10.1 kilometers. You are going to kind of need this stealth to go sort of hop island to island. It's alright, I would say, but she doesn't have enough in these other departments, right? Like the US light cruisers, a lot of times, they're ships that can get themselves into trouble and they can do well inside that trouble, but yeah, like once you're in, you're pretty much committed. There's no way out. There's no smoke, no other means of dodging things or avoiding things to get yourself out of trouble, so too dependent on islands, too situational, not really to everybody's style play, and sort of among all of those ships, I would say Helena is still probably the best one. Because if you look at the other light cruisers, especially things like the tier 10, they have other vulnerabilities, right? Their citadels become more exposed, and so on and so forth. But out of the ones for the US light cruiser so far, I would at least say Helena is probably the more fun out of the bunch. Let's just leave it at that. Hey, 15 guns is always going to create some fun moments, right? And aside from that, if you're talking about sort of Upgrade modules, I've pretty much run with this. I've just gone main armaments mod 1, damage control systems mod 1, gone AA, and gone with the propulsion. In terms of the captain, I would say first 14 points, you're pretty much going to opt for this kind of layout, where you're going to go with priority target, you're going to go adrenaline rush, and then demolition expert, concealment, and IFHE. It's pretty much your first 14 points. The rest of it, you can sort of decide what you want to do. Anyways, that's everything I can really talk about from a port view. Let me show you what I mean when I said with the ship it's sort of important to get up close, but up close it's also really the dangerous zone. And I'll show you what I mean by that in battle. Alright, so take a look at this battle. 7.5 minutes have already passed in this battle. And in that 7.5 minutes, I've managed a whopping 11k worth of damage. And that's not me not trying, it is just all the enemy ships were just at that like sort of 12, 13, 14 kilometer and beyond range. Now, at those ranges, it's not exactly easy to actually hit anything. Your shells just take time to actually get there. They really do take quite a while to get there. Now you'll notice that the initial bit of the shell's flight is actually not bad. The initial sort of arc of the shells is not too bad. It's just when you get a little bit further away does the sort of shell flight time start to get really bad. Try to hit something at, let's say, 13 or 14 kilometers and yeah, it's gonna take a bit of time. And enemy does anything evasive during that period of time and not really hitting anything. As you can tell, target I'm engaging is that Cleveland. So, like 11k, I mean, it's still alright. I am still able to get some shots over there and to get some hits. Most of this particular battle, as you can tell, is probably going to end up me just taking sort of advantage as much as I can of the Cyclone, because the Cyclone is going to allow me to sort of get close. And getting close is Helena's sort of big thing. If you can get close, you can really do some damage. Although, see, at the same time, getting too close is also dangerous. You don't have torpedoes. You don't have that last-ditch, high damage, high ability to devastating strike someone weapon. You don't have it. You're completely dependent on your guns. And against cruisers, that's fine. Against BBs, you're really hoping that somebody else has the attention of the battleships. You're hoping at times to sort of sneak up behind people that they're not really noticing. You kind of sneak up on them and you're like, now I can come and really do something. But you kind of will see that the time I'm most effective is when I can get close. And both battles I'm really sort of good at is when I'm close. Ideally, I would say Helena is suited for an entrenched defensive role, shall we say. So let's say you are parked comfortably behind an island. It's a very sort of entrenched position. You're not right up against the island. You're a little bit further back so your shells can go over. And the enemy team's ships, they can't see you. And so you're able to sit in a position, lob shells over while they're trying to push on you. That is sort of like the ideal kind of position you want to be in a Helena. Once you take away that, the next best thing is jumping from island to island and getting yourself into position and hoping that along the way you get some destroyer support with smoke and things like that. This is a ship I think is far more dependent on you being in divisions than playing by yourself. I think in particular you would want at least a destroyer in your division, someone who can offer you some smoke cover, allow you to push up, maybe even allow you to get into those more aggressive positions where the smoke is your momentary cover and you can sort of spam some HE. Remember, the shell arcs make it really challenging to play further out. See it right here? I'm going to come up on this Perth. Perth is like 6 kilometers away and you can see the arcs are actually not bad. The arcs are actually not bad, and this is actually a blessing and a curse in my opinion, because it allows you to, when you're up close, to get shells to target reasonably quickly, so hitting things is not very difficult, but you suffer the problem where, because the shells have that particular kind of arc, you need to be further away from an island, and that opens you up to return fire. It's kind of the reason why I said that having that very interesting armor configuration does help, because if you, let's say, make it only so that your forward gun area is more exposed and more vulnerable, and your center section is reasonably well hidden, well, you at least have a chance there to have your shells just sort of over penetrate. And that's why I said the armor is very interesting on the Helena. If you compare it to the tier 10, well, armor's far less friendly, and you have situations there where you're just like, oh, come on, right? But with Helena, yeah, the arcs are good at times and frustrating at times. Very situational. I said that at the beginning, and I'll say it again. It's a very situational ship. Here, because I have all these guns, I kind of am guessing that the Perth is still around here. I just shot some into the area just to see how I can clip a shot in, and of course, not that hard. Lots of AAP. Bagged myself a kill there, even though I was initially spotting that particular ship. Alright, so the enemy Königsberg has blown up my Leningrad, no problem. Get my ship turned around. You do have pretty damn nice firepower, and this Königsberg is at a range where, yeah, get ready for this, because that's 15 AP shells. That's a lot of potential Citadel damage if you hit right. So there we go, 2 more Citadels. Königsberg is mine. So far sitting on 3 kills. I'm quite happy so far. Gonna get myself around this island because the enemy battleships, as you can tell, on the B cap are now pulling back to try to deal with the push that's coming in by my team's battleships. So I'm going to come up sort of behind them and use HE to maximum effect. And 15 HE shells is 15 HE shells. And very much like the Mogami, you will, at times if you hit a lot of your HE shells, in one salvo, you will see very, very pretty penetration damage from your HE. You're going to be looking at like 7,000, 8,000 damage, and it's very, very, very nice. The AA is also helpful at times like this, where you have an enemy scout plane who might be keeping you lit. So, you know, sometimes you can use even the defensive A if you want it down fast. I've done that before too. It's like, oh, I just need that one damn thing out of my way, and I'll just pop the defensive and get rid of it. Again, only in games where there's no carriers. If there's carriers, might want to save it. Watch the salvo against this Colorado. I think this one should be pretty good. Yeah, there we go. 6,500 damage. Oh, well, okay, 12 penetration, so don't think I hit all 15 there, but it's very, very good. Very good damage there. Next one was a little bit weird. That's okay. Sometimes you do have sometimes you do get it where, you know, your shells they don't really hit the important stuff, or they just hit like AA guns and things like that, and they get absorbed. There we go. There's another 6,000 plus damage salvo, so it's good. The HE definitely can do some stuff, and of course up close, if you remember from the last video about that team damage one, if you're up against like sort of lower tier battleships up close in UAP, you do good damage. You can even potentially get Citadel. So 4,000 damage against the KG5. This is pretty reasonable. Another salvo in here. Oh, there you go. Another 4,000. Okay, KG5 is going down. Okay, I actually thought the battle ended here. So I slowed it down for a second there, and then I realized, wait a minute, hold on a second. I think I'm going to get a few more shots in. So there's a Colorado. And as you can tell, there you go. At around 12 point something kilometer range, shell flight time is like 11 seconds. So they take a while. They really take a while to get there, as you can tell. And so hitting stuff downrange is just, it's challenging with the Helena. So that's why you want to be closer, right? Because closer gives you greater chances to really wreck stuff. On to the next battle. And here we are on everybody's favorite map and favorite mode. And anyways, so as you can tell, for me, I see that there is a Gneisenau, I see a Tirpitz, and I see that they are, well, they're kind of behind this island. So kind of understand what a Helena player is going to be thinking at this point in time is, I need to go and get myself into that position, use that island as cover, get my shells over there, and punish the Gnai and the Tirpitz. Of course, the battleship's counterplay, and the correct one to do it is to really just close up to the island and to make it so I can't get shells over like that. But I am going to get some initial hits in here. So getting guns around, as you can tell. Turret traverse is pretty good. Turrets do come around reasonably quickly. But here I'm going to tempt fate. Now remember what I said. I have that relatively thin armor, and I'm hoping that, you know, there's gonna be some over penetrations here and there, right? If the shells don't perfectly enter the citadel, might be able to go full broadside, use all this firepower for maximum close range DPM, and potentially get away with it. Initially, use some HE, get some fires, do some HE damage. Then I was like, alright, gonna change over to AP because broadside enough might be able to do some AP damage. Turpitz turns away. Okay, so back to HE again. Turpitz luckily didn't shoot me, so that's good. That's good. Yes, he's got some secondaries on me, but not too worried about the secondary guns here. Yes, they can do some damage, but it shouldn't be anything devastating. Alright. Ganai's gonna come out, and this Ganai's now, well, he's got his guns locked pretty much in my direction. As you can tell, the guns are gonna turn. There you go. Get my HE salvo, switch over to AP, and the AP is gonna do work at this kind of distance, because, you know, we are talking about like 7 kilometers. Okay, so there's the AP salvo from the Ganai, and one citadel hit. Ouch, that does hurt, and I admit it is gonna hurt. But, you know, hey, DD laid a smoke, I will use it. Not a division destroyer, but that's okay. But as you can tell, only one of those was a citadel hit. The other one was over penetrations. Right, that thin armor, it can't help, because if I was eating penetration damage plus that citadel, ouch, ouch. So at times you can tempt fate. Right, at times you can risk it and see what happens. Okay, so we've taken care of the 2 battleships there, and oh look, enemy destroyer comes up, and he's at a like a pretty good distance still, 8 some odd-ish kilometers. So fire shells. Don't get my lead perfect with the Helena on that first 2 salvos, and the destroyer does turn away. So darn it, but it'll get better because Sims should have been disengaging at this particular time, but decided to turn back in. As you can tell, very good damage with HE there. Like, whew. It's good at nailing destroyers at these closer distances, right? There we go. Sims, I think his rudder got knocked out here or something like that, because, yeah, it doesn't really explain why he keeps turning around. And as you can tell, yeah, these big HE salvos, and they will take down destroyers very quickly. And there we go, bam. Land 3 good salvos, nailed that destroyer. Alright. Once again, yay for my destroyer laying a smoke. So temporarily I get to sort of slow down, look around, analyze the situation, decide where I want to go. See an enemy Miyoko, 11.9 kilometers, and yeah, that shell travel time. Not a joke. It really takes its sweet time to get down there. Oh. If the Helena had slightly well, hell, not just the Helena, but if the US light cruisers had slightly nicer arcs, I think I would like them a hell of a lot more. But they are just aggravating at times. Okay, so enemy Mogami here came out, decided doesn't want to come out anymore, decides to back up. So this Mogami, as you can tell, is a little bit angled, and the 6-inch AP, yeah, 12 kilometers isn't really going to have all that penetration. See that? Most of the shells there shattered, hit some other things, and just don't do damage. You really got to be closer for the Helena's AP to wreck cruisers. So kind of like if you saw in the last battle with against the Perth, against those ships, 6 kilometers, 7 kilometers, fantastic. Your AP will wreck them. Longer ranges, might want to just stick to HE, because the chances of you getting that penetration into the Citadel, not all that great. The shells just don't really have that penetration value. Alright, so again, no more issues of anything close by, so pushing up again. And as you can tell, sort of every move I make is determined based on, hey, where's the next island that I can get cover? Is there smoke here? Is there cover here? When can I go where to take advantage of what kind of cover? And with all the new sort of US light cruisers, this is what you're going to be thinking. And being honest, this style of play really at times prevents you, shall we say, from being sort of that carry ship. I mean, in all the games I've played, I've done well. I've gone top of the team in experience. I've done good damage for tier 7 cruiser. But I don't think I've ever just outright felt like, yeah, this is a game where I've carried. You know, where I did that carry thing. And that's one of the things I've felt with the US light cruisers as a whole. It just doesn't feel like they have enough to help them carry a game. Like, they're fun at times. In this particular game, I would say, yeah, it's fun, right? It is fun to sling 15 HE shells and piss off Elsasses, which is a, you know, battleship 2 tiers up. And it's like, haha, what are you going to do about me? I can spam you full of HE and set you on fire in as many places as you can imagine. Like, what you gonna do about that? It is fun. It is fun at times. But that same exact style can be unbelievably aggravating at times. There are battles where I kid you not, like, finished the game and it was like, wow, that's it? I did 25,000 damage across this entire battle because nothing was in range or wasn't enough islands to get into cover in order to have any kind of real effect. Okay, so that's the thing about these US cruisers, right? And Helena is no different. She has times where she's great and she has times where you wish you would be playing anything else. So when the US light cruiser line split happens, I would strongly advise people, because I know there are people who do this, where it's like every new line they'll just dump free experience in there trying to hit like tier 10 right away. With the US light cruisers, I would say use that advantage of, you know, the Cleveland moving up to 8, play that ship, play with it, see if you enjoy that style of play, because if you don't, you might not like the rest of the ships in the line either, right? So, you know, sort of think about that. Don't waste a lot of free experience and then get a ship and be like, oh my god, this is what the ship is like? I don't want to play it, right? I am hoping, and I'm hopeful, that because this is a work in progress ship, some additional things will be done to make it so that these ships have just a little bit more going for them. Because truth be told, if I was to have to choose between playing this or the Royal Navy light cruisers, yeah, I'm pretty much gonna pick the Royal Navy light cruisers most days. Royal Navy light cruisers, you know, the torpedoes, the get out of jail free card, that awesome acceleration, all those things make them just more versatile. Royal Navy ships being light cruisers being versatile, I mean, that's something I haven't said in a while, but they, comparatively speaking, I find them to be more versatile than the US light cruisers, and I feel like that's what makes them better all around ships, and probably better for random battles. Clan battles, however, is an interesting one. I feel like there is possibility for, you know, the tier 10 version of the US light cruisers to be used in some form during clan battles, you know, because these ships are pretty good at that defensive task, right? To get into a defensive position and to make it really difficult for the enemy to push that position, because if they push it, they're going to eat a lot of damage along the way, right? So yeah. I would say that if you're thinking about primarily random battles, these are the ships that I would say you should give some real thought to. Anyways, battle results screen. In the Tears of the Desert battle, 346k credits, 6,953 experience, 348 free experience, 93,000 damage, 5 ships sunk. So that's, yeah, that's pretty good for the US light cruiser. Base experience 2,228. The one before that I showed on the Two Brothers one, I believe that one was like a 1,948 base experience. Pretty sure that was the number, although I did miss the screenshot on that one. There we go, there's the damage totals. So as you can tell, HE and fire still your primary damage sources. If you get really close, AP can work as well. I did miss an AP salvo on the Mogami, though, at close range. And total credits, if you take away all the expenditures, on a premium account, 256,000. If you're on a free account, 140k. Anyways, folks, what do you think about the Helena? And what do you think about the US light cruisers so far? Let me know in the comment section below. Aside from all that, take care, have yourselves a good one, and I'll talk to all of you again soon.